Alright, everybody, welcome to week 4. And I cannot believe it's already 4 weeks into the season, but going into this dynasty mode, I am currently 3-0 on the season, which is slightly better than the Packers in real life at 2-1. Our only difference right now is the Eagles game back in week 1. In Minnesota's case, in this dynasty mode or franchise mode, they're 0-3, which is probably closer to what they were expected to be going into the season, but in real life, they're actually surprisingly 3-0, so makes for an interesting week in real life against the guys in purple. Just scrape that by to get a first down. But yeah, kind of before going into the normal recap of the Titans game and then the preview of the Vikings game, just wanted to give everybody kind of a real quick shout out that's having to deal with Hurricane Helene. Tough storm. You know, for us, fortunately, we didn't really get too much more outside of some wind and rain, you know, being more inland in Central Florida. But yeah, everybody in our group that you see on the Fortnite videos and Rocket League and all that, outside of some minor damage here and there, everybody was doing all right. Big concern is, you know, some of our friends up in Tennessee and Georgia and all them right now with all the flooding. One of my old co-workers actually messaged him, like, checking in, and, you know, they were fortunately fine, but they can't even get to his parents' house because of all the flooding, so that's never ideal. But hopefully, you know, hopefully the flooding doesn't get too much worse and everybody can kind of start the recovery process here soon, which, yeah, that's gonna be tough, but our thoughts are with y'all. And then yeah, speaking of Helene, so I recorded the NASCAR Heat 5 video that's supposed to be out on Sunday, and even during that video I kind of mentioned the tropical, or excuse me, the tornado watches that were going out at the time during the recording, and you know, unfortunately that led to some power flickering on Thursday when we were supposed to record the Madden video, this one here, afterwards, so unfortunately change of schedules and stuff like that led to Zach not being able to be here, or Excabande. So he should be back hopefully next week, and we'll kind of get his thoughts on everything as well for this game, the Titans game, and then, you know, kind of going into the preview afterwards. But yeah, anyways, let's kind of dive in a little bit. The Titans game, you know, shout out to LaFleur. He's been cooking up a storm trying to, I think, win that Coach of the Year award finally. But yeah, he kept a kind of run-heavy approach this week, although it's not nearly to the same extent as what you saw against Indianapolis. Malik Willis, obviously going up against his old team, he executed that pretty well. I mean, obviously, 13-19 for 202 and a touchdown pass to Emmanuel Wilson, which was Wilson's first career touchdown, is pretty awesome. So he also added the kind of ground component of 73 yards and a touchdown on 6 carries. So yeah, overall, I was really pleased with how the team did. That sucked. Oh well, at least we're in field goal range here. So let's see if I can put one through real fast. I'll always take points on the opening drive. But yeah, with the touchdown pass and that Russian touchdown for Willis too, I saw a fun little tidbit from I think it was a Twitter account that was linked in some article I was looking at, but the Twitter handle was, you know, Front Office NFL, which I guess the guy's a senior researcher for the NFL. But, you know, after 27 days from being traded to doing the touchdown and passing and rushing touchdowns, that was the quickest anybody's ever done that against their you know, former team. The previous record had been Red Dunn of the Chicago Cardinals, who threw and ran for a touchdown against the Milwaukee Badgers back in October of 1925. So that was a big day for Willis over there. But the rest of the offense, you know, it was a kind of mixed bag on the rushing games, because you had Jacobs, who didn't really have a great stat game. He was only at 14 carries for 43 yards, so just over 3 yards a carry, but He also had a couple decent runs that got wiped out by penalties and stuff. And then, you know, Emmanuel Wilson actually did come back to get a pretty good run day as the number 2 back, but he had 12 carries for 50 yards, so a little over 4 yards a carry on that one, which was good. But our big focus overall was kind of on the defense going into the preview. We had talked about, you know, the pressure that the offense line for the Titans was giving up, and then Levis also kind of having a couple turnovers. I think he had like 5 going into the game already after 2 weeks. So we had put Rashawn Gary on feast watch as well, because they had the right tackle who, I swear to you, I will never remember his second part of his last name. I know it's Petite, and then I think it's like Fari or Fier or something like that. But yeah, he ended up, you know, I think he ended up benched like partway through the game and stuff as well. But yeah, I mean, Gary ended up, you know, kind of getting shut out on the stat lines, although he had a sack get wiped out by Preston Smith lining up off sides. And you know, he was in on a ton of plays, just couldn't quite get the final sacks or the quarterback hits. So LVN got his first sack of the day, which was right there with Gary. They were meeting at the quarterback, and the pressure led to him chasing him down and stuff. And then big play to Dobbs over there, baby. But yeah, you had Devontae Wyatt kind of continuing his breakout this season with another 2 sacks on the day. Yeah, Quay Walker and McDuffie team up for a big 4th and 2 sack, which, you know, kind of shout out to McDuffie on that play too, because man, he ended up having to kind of play leverage to keep the first passing option at bay, and then all of a sudden he was you know, in there making the tackle as well. So big play there. My favorite sack was an Egbury. He ended up putting the right tackle on an ankle breaker, and then just absolutely destroyed Levis for a fumble that got recovered by Van Ness. And then I think Preston Smith had like 2 sacks or a sack and a half, and you know, it was just, I think Cooper ended up with a half a sack. So, I mean, overall, big day by the defense, exactly kind of what we were hoping for going into it. And even turnover-wise, you know, Jair Alexander had his first career pick 6, which, hard to believe that was his first career pick 6, but I saw in a Packers article later on, as Jordan Love just Supermans it into the end zone right there. Hopefully he plays this week. But yeah, that was his first pick 6 since high school, and his first touchdown. And unfortunately, this is a hat tip to Acme Packing Company for this brutal reminder for me as a Seminoles fan. He had the punt return touchdown against us in that 63-20, just absolutely destruction of a game back in 2016. But yeah, and then Packers.com was the one that mentioned the high school stat. So cherry on top was McKinney getting his 3rd pick in 3 games as well. But kind of the quick focus too was we had spotlighted Tony Pollard for the Titans as somebody to watch because of just how involved he had been in the running game as well as the passing game. And you know, run defense stayed strong. They only gave up 33 yards on 11 carries. Pollard himself was the leading rusher, but he only had 14 yards on 6 carries. So not really much going on there. And then you also had Calvin Ridley kind of mentioned, because he had been, you know, kind of their main receiver through the first 2 weeks, but he only got 3 targets and 1 catch for 9 yards on those 3 targets. The guy that they ended up focusing on was the DeAndre Hopkins, excuse me. I started to try to say Devontae Adams there for some reason. But yeah, he ended up with 6 catches for 73 yards and a touchdown, which touchdown made me mad. I thought that was going to be a offensive pass interference, but it didn't get called. But yeah, I mean, overall, I'd grade the performance by the defense as an A. You know, they kind of did exactly what I was expecting, and maybe even overperformed a little bit. My one complaint would probably be that Levis was like 26 of 34 passing, but hard to complain too much about that when they followed up with, you know, all those sacks, and I think they ended up with like 50-something yards of sack yardage. So before jumping into the Vikings preview as well, the Packers dope sheet this week also had a statistic, but basically, let's go as Cooper gets the pick. Keep them points away from Minnesota. But yeah, since LaFleur took over in 2019, the Packers have started 2-1 or better every season, and the only other team to do that in that time period is the Bills. So shout out Bills Mafia. If we can get a few more points on the board here before the half. All right, hoping to get Watson here. Let's go. As I saw the safety crash down, I was like, let me take my shot deep. I was going to probably go to Dobbs beforehand. Well, at the very least, we're at the 27. Got a shot at a field goal. See if we can get a little bit more. I hate how long it takes for the running backs to turn around right now. I chose entirely the wrong play. I'm gonna try to go outside here. Get out of bounds. I got a little sketchy. Alright. Wish I had a little bit more time. But let's go ahead and get this field goal, go up in the half 13-0, and then we'll start the Vikings preview. How about that, eh? That's a little bit more to the right than I wanted, but I'll take it. Kick is good. Packers actually pitch a shutout this week at halftime. I'll be pretty happy with that, obviously. But alright, as we get everything set up here. Yeah, so kind of jumping into the Minnesota game now. You know, Green Bay's opening up as 2.5 point favorites. I've seen some lines kind of push toward 3. I think most of that's under the assumption that Jordan Love's going to be actually playing this week, though. All time, you know, Green Bay's up in the series 66-58 to 3 ties, and that's including 2 postseason games. But under LaFleur, it's been a pretty even battle. Packers are 6-4 against the Vikings under LaFleur. Usually on offense, you're going to see them get to 21 points either way in those games. And 8 of the 10, that's at least the mark that they've hit. So expect that trend to probably continue here. But yeah, I mean, the last like 4 years so far, it's been a split series every season. So usually it tends to be Minnesota wins the first game and Green Bay wins the second game near the end of the year. But, you know, for a series that's typically close matchups, it's been kind of wild lately because per the dope sheet and looking up at the stats and stuff also, you know, the scoring margin or margin of victory has been 14 plus points for the last, you know, 5 games, which is Cooper again, baby. Let's go. But yeah, it's been 14 plus points for the last 5 games and 23 plus in 3 of those 5. I saw that's the most consecutive games in the series that's been decided by 14 plus points since, or in series history. It topped the, you know, 4 game stretches from 61 and 62 and 90 and 91. So I think we're going to probably see a return kind of to the more classic 1-score games this week, but I guess we'll find out when the game actually happens. But yeah, kind of diving into the injury report real quick. It seemed like everybody was limited at the start of the week for both teams, but officially on the designation, Green Bay's only got Jordan Love with the knee injury as questionable. Jair Alexander popped up as questionable as well with a quad and groin injury. So hoping he's playing. He didn't practice on Friday though. And then Jordan Morgan was the only one that's actually ruled out, but He's probably going to end up being joined by Carrington Valentine again because he has the ankle injury and is doubtful. As Romeo Dobbs over there getting another touchdown. Let's get that 2-point conversion, see if we can make it a 21-0 game. I don't know why the hell I rolled out left. None of my options were over that direction. That's stupid on my part. But, yeah, on the injury report, too, on the Minnesota side, the linebacker Ivan Pace Jr. is the only one that's ruled out for the game right now, so it seems like they're going to be a little bit more healthy going into it. But also completely irrelevant, but I'm so excited to see Kevin Harlan on the play-by-play this week, so always love hearing him commentate. But yeah, so kind of diving in real quick on offense. Obviously, we still don't know 100% yet if it's going to be Love or Willis. I'm assuming it's Love since it's a big matchup and everything, but yeah, I mean, either way, it should be a fun battle of play calling between LaFleur and Flores again. I think offensively, you're going to see Green Bay kind of run a lot of 11 personnel to try to counterbalance the blitzing that Minnesota does and all the pressure that they get. You'll probably see a lot of Tucker Kraft at tight end, which he's been kind of getting more snaps to start with anyways, but yeah, I wouldn't be shocked if you don't see a whole lot of Musgrave at all in this game. But yeah, he's going to need to be big with the blocking on this one to help out and just buy enough time whenever Green Bay does have to pass. And, you know, whether it is Love or Willis, I think you're going to see Green Bay try to run the ball quite a bit. And yeah, I mean, right now already, Green Bay's the most rushing yards at 612 on most rushing attempts at, you know, 111. But biggest things, even with that volume, they're still top 2 in the yards per carry category at, you know, 5.5 yards per carry. So it's going to be interesting to see how Minnesota does against that because they really haven't played a whole ton of run this season as they've been ahead in all the games. The 60 attempts against them is the second fewest in the entire league so far. And they don't give up a whole lot of yards yet. They are only at 214, which is also bottom on the charts and stuff. But 3.6 yards per carry is no slouch. You know, that's a good run defense whenever you have that. So I think you're probably going to see Green Bay average somewhere closer to maybe 4.5 yards a carry, which is still good enough. But I don't know, we'll see. And then you know, the passing game, biggest thing is just protecting Love because Minnesota's defense has been absolutely getting active in sack totals. They've gotten at least 5 sacks every game for the first 3 games so far. In fact, last week he just had Jonathan Grenard go off against his former team for the tune of 3 sacks and a defensive player of the week because of it. But yeah, I mean, and then also too offensively, got to clean up the penalties. That's going to be big to not kill drives and put them in situations where they have to try to protect against that big of a, you know, pass rush and stuff as well. Rasheed Walker has been playing pretty good overall, but the penalties are just one negative aspect so far. And I saw a stat where it was like, I think he's accounted for like 23% of our total penalty yards by himself so far, which is like 4th highest in the league. And that was through another Acme Packing Company article. But defensively, it's going to be, you know, kind of a fun battle too, because, you know, the biggest thing for Green Bay is they have to get the inside pressure. You know, Minnesota tends to give up some pressures right now. And Kenny Clark has a history of doing pretty well against Bradbury. But with Wyatt stepping up and breaking out this year, I'd like to see how he does against... I think he's probably going to be lined up against Ingram on their line, but if they can get going and kind of get in Darnold's face, you know, Darnold's been pretty good about delivering against the pressure so far this year, but I still don't fully believe in him, especially, you know... I think part of it's probably because he had this type of start with Carolina before the wheels fell off over there too. But you know, he may, who knows, he may be good with this this current system with O'Connell and stuff. But you know, I think we'll probably get a couple turnovers off of him if you can get the pressure going up the middle. And then on top of that, you know, other big things, just limiting the run damage. You know, Aaron Jones and his return to Lambeau Field, you know, he's going to be hype, ready to go. And he's been playing pretty well for Minnesota so far. You know, Minnesota is kind of like mid-pack in rushing this year, but Aaron Jones himself, 42 carries so far for 228 yards. He also has the touchdown, so the Vikings as a whole been averaging about 125 yards per carry. And, you know, Green Bay, sort of similar to Minnesota, not a whole lot of carries against them. They have the 6th fewest attempts against them at 67 attempts. You know, kind of, you know, they're about 300 and something yards allowed. I think it's like 317 if I remember correctly. But the big thing is they are averaging like 4.7 yards per carry allowed, which is not ideal. I think that's bottom 10 in the league. I thought I got a touchdown when I saw the celebration stuff pop up. I got trolled. See if I can get Josh Jacobs a touchdown here. Kind of seal off this victory. But yeah, I mean, if Green Bay can limit the run damage and force Minnesota to have to pass, I'd like their odds a lot better. Justin Jefferson is a really good, you know, wide receiver, but he hasn't had quite the success in Lambeau Field. Most of his damage against us has been over in Minnesota itself, so I think Jair can do pretty well along with some, you know, safety help over the top and stuff. But I think, you know, I think the game's going to come down to the one score, you know, mark again. I think Jefferson will probably get around 75 yards, and, you know, Aaron Jones will probably get about $120. But I think Green Bay will win kind of like a 27-24 type of game in reality. Assuming Love plays. If Willis plays, I think Minnesota will probably end up, you know, taking the victory on that one in another kind of close game. Just, you know, flip it back. They'll probably be at like 27-20 type of score or something like that. But either way, if the series is going to have to split again for, you know, the 5th straight year or whatever, I'd rather be winning at the end and getting hot toward the playoffs. So we'll see how it goes on that one, but see if I can keep a shutout here in the final 49 seconds. And yeah, well, I'm thinking about it too. So again, NASCAR Heat 5 will be out on the channel on Sunday, so this should be going out on Saturday, hopefully, as long as I don't botch anything in editing. Should have a couple short or two coming out next week as well from some of our recent Fortnite plays, so you know, stay tuned. And as always, you know, like, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. Always helps out the channel, and it's always appreciated. But and then we were talking about trying to do an NFL recap video. Originally, we were going to try to do a preview for Week 4. Unfortunately, that because of the schedules and all that stuff with the hurricane kind of going by, that ended up not working out as well as hoped. But you know, we're planning on trying to start that again next week. You know, providing that the Tropics decide to cooperate, because I've seen some models trying to hint at some more development, so hopefully not. What a hit. Alright. Right now, just trying to wind it down. Like how, like, no time came off at all there at the end. So, final play of the game here. See if I can get one more pick. Not a pick, but the shutout's preserved, so... Hey, you know what? If Green Bay wants to pitch a shutout this weekend, too, I'm perfectly fine with that, so... But I hope y'all enjoyed this one, and you know, hopefully we get some love, because, you know, can't see the shirt, but all you need is love. And yeah, go Pack Go, and see y'all next time.
Baby, it's you and I